talking to you, but it's just different. So let's go ahead and take a comfortable seat. If you have a question during class, you can ask it. You'll need to hit your space bar. Don't chat it to me because I can't see the chat window and I'm here by myself. So it's more helpful if you just hit the space bar on your computer and ask a question. Otherwise, after class, you're welcome to also ask me any questions. All right. But let's go ahead and take a comfortable seat. You're welcome to close your eyes or cast your gaze down. A comfortable seat for you could be seated in a chair. It might be seated on the ground. It might be kneeling with blocks. Underneath your pelvis. Whatever position that you can come into where you feel you're able to lengthen your spine up towards the sky from that connection you have down into the ground. So notice where your pelvis contacts the support beneath you, whether it's the chair or blankets or a block. Where does the pelvis, your sit bones, feel the ground? Your spine lengthens from there, up towards the sky. And then drop your attention down into the space of your heart. Deepen your inhale. And lengthen your exhale. So like if you maybe remember a time when you were swinging in a swing, the same thing happens with the breath, right? So you take an inhale and there's a pause at the top of the inhale. And then there's the exhale, like the swing goes back. And there's this moment before it heads back the other way. So the same thing with the breath. So notice if you can find the pause between the inhale and the exhale. You might even take this to a place later in your day when you're doing something and see if you can notice where you feel the breath in your body. And if you can take a moment to notice the pause that exists between the inhale and your exhale. And if you're not one of those essential workers who's out working hard, going to their jobs, you might be able to find the time to really notice this, to take the time to notice the ground during the day You can do this whether you're working or not. To notice the muscles and bones that move when you're breathing at that moment. And to notice the pause in your breath cycle. And I'll share with you one of Wendell Berry's poems, I Go Among Trees. I go among trees and sit still. All my stirring becomes quiet around me like circles on water. My tasks lie in their places where I left them, asleep like cattle. Then what is afraid of me comes and lives a while in my sight. What it fears in me leaves me, and the fear of me leaves it. It sings and I hear its song. Then what I am afraid of comes. I live for a while in its sight. What I fear in it leaves it, and the fear of it leaves me. It sings and I hear its song. After days of labor, mute in my consternations, I hear my song at last and I sing it. As we sing, the day turns, the trees move. And bring your hands in front of your heart. Just taking a deep inhale and a complete exhale. I'll chant the sound of Om. I'll sing Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, and I'll sing that 3 times. And you're welcome to join me to use the vibration of sound to help clear the central channel in your own body, and also some sound sending vibration to surround you. So take a deep breath in. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. And with your next exhale, you can bow your head towards your heart. Release your hands and lift your gaze. Okay, so if you have a strap or a belt or something, if you have a strap, you're welcome to make a loop in the strap. It's not critical, so don't worry about it. If you don't have a loop in it or you don't have a strap, use a scarf or a belt. I'm going to move my blankets out of the way. You could always pad your space where you're going to lie down with a blanket if you like. I'm going to set up so that I'm going to be relatively close to a wall or something to start. So you're going to lie down on your back with your knees bent and your feet on the ground. Put that down just to get a better view. Okay. Knees bent, feet on the floor. And first, to start, just notice where your body touches the ground. So at the back of the head, which part of at the back of the head touches the floor? Your upper back, the back of your pelvis, your heels, the ball of the feet, and all 10 toes. And just deepen your breath. And with your next inhale, take the pelvis and tilt the pubic bone between the inner thighs. And with the exhale, you're going to just lift your pubic bone up, draw it towards the navel. So you're just moving the pelvis. An anterior tilt is when the pubic bone goes between the inner thighs. And a posterior tilt is when you lift your pubic bone up towards your belly button. I'm not picking the pelvis up off the ground. I'm just simply tilting it. And I'm coordinating. I encourage you to coordinate it with your breathing. It's not a hurry. We're not in a rush. You're just noticing this is the pelvis as it rolls around inside the hip joint. So you'll notice that when you exhale and you lift the pubic bone up, you feel more connection to the floor. And when you inhale and you tilt the pubic bone forward, you feel more of the low back leave the ground. So just 2 more. And then go back to neutral. So you get a sense of what is neutral for you. When your pelvis is in neutral, where is it touching like the ground beneath you? And then let's take a belt, a strap, a scarf. Bring your right knee up. Take the belt or scarf and just put it in front of the right heel. Lengthen your right heel up towards the sky. You can either hold on to a loop. If you don't have a loop, don't worry about it. You'll just put the strap up, hold on to both sides of the strap to start. But I would love it if your hamstring lets you straighten the back of the right knee. Deep breathing. Now let's take the strap in your right hand and your left arm out to the side. And then take the left leg and lengthen it out on the ground. So now you're going to take your right leg and turn it a little towards the right, just slightly towards the right. So you can notice like, oh, what is that like when I do it? Also, the pelvis is level on the ground right now. But with your next exhale, you're going to start to take the right leg towards the right. Just go a little ways and pause. I'd like the pelvis to stay level. So your left hip bone isn't lifting towards the sky. The leg is going to move separate from the pelvis. So you're taking the right leg out, left arm out to the side. You'll have to be as close to the wall as you need to be or furniture. So you can bring the outside of the right foot to meet the wall. And when you do, you're going to press into that outer foot against the wall. And that's also going to help you to level your pelvis. I have to scoot a little closer. So I could be maybe at the edge of some piece of furniture that just allows me to reach my leg all the way out my leg into the side that's touching the furniture or the wall. And when I do, does that help you level your pelvis on the ground? As well, can you come into the right inner thigh and lengthen the right inner thigh towards the right knee? So the right inner thigh lengthens toward the right knee, and then can it go all the way through the lower right leg to where the foot touches a wall or furniture or something? So pelvis is level, and the right inner thigh, the right leg, is moving away from the pelvis. Then you're going to inhale, lift your leg back up. And you're welcome to take the other hand up. This is not a big move here. And maybe the right arm out. Otherwise, you can keep the same hand there. The space at the top where the hip crease is, keep that spacious, but just start to bring your right leg a little towards midline. Can you do that without hardening that space at the hip crease, at the crease right there where your leg is lifted? Just a little bit to come into the outer right leg. Again, can you reach? If you begin to really lengthen from all the way from that side, the greater trochanter, to the sit bone and all the way up the back of the right leg, it might feel more spacious. Then we're going to come back to center where the leg is vertical, bend the knee. Let's put the right foot on the ground. Let's bend the left knee and put the left foot. So now both feet are back on the ground, just like you did when you were starting. But take a moment to notice what the right side feels like. The right side of the pelvis, the right glute. What's the texture like? How are they different, the right and left sides? And then you might have to turn around to have that wall at your outer left side. And you're going to bring the left leg up. Take the strap in front of the left heel. There's vertical. Can you open the back of your left knee? And then you're going to spin the left leg just slightly. So you're externally rotating the left leg a little bit. When you do that, you'll find you'll go, oh, my greater trochanter on the left, we were talking about that at the beginning, is moving away from my left rib cage. Right arm out to the side. Pelvis is level. And as you take your left leg towards the left, you might not go very far to keep your pelvis level. You might be close to a wall. I don't want the pelvis to be going with you, right? I want the pelvis to stay level and the leg moving without taking the pelvis with it. Once the side of your foot finds a wall or something, can you press into that? That will also help you to level the pelvis on the ground. And then you might also lengthen the left inner thigh towards the left knee, through the left shin, all the way to the left outer foot. when you do that, can you feel the pelvis turn away from your left leg? When you really reach out the left inner thigh towards the left knee, through the left shin to the left outer foot. See if you feel like the pelvis, you're working to create more space between the pelvis and that whole pubic bone area and the inner thigh of your left leg. Oftentimes we are really tight at the inner thighs. Then you're going to, with your inhale, lift your left leg back up to vertical. You can either add the right arm, but not if it makes your neck become, give yourself enough room that you don't have to pick your head up off the ground. You might take the strap in the right hand, left arm out. Again, keep space at the outer left hip and bring the leg just a little bit towards midline. We're just looking for the beginnings of tissue changing. If you have knee problems, this can be a really good one to do for knee problems because the tightness at the outside, the lateral hamstring, affects the knees. Go back to vertical. Bend your knee. Let's put both feet on the ground again. Oh, I forgot to straighten that leg. That's okay. And once again, let's just notice the two sides. And let's go back to the pelvic tilts that you were doing a moment ago. Pubic bone between the inner thigh. Lift the pubic bone up. So you're just tilting the pelvis again. Just remaining curious about this space, about how your pelvis moves around your hips, what it feels like through the low back. Sometimes people feel this up through the lumbar. Sometimes, I've had times where years ago when I was having some hip low back stuff, I would do like, oh my gosh, I'd do about 50 of these just to see if it would loosen things up. All right, so now you've got both knees bent, both feet on the ground. Walk the feet to be a little closer to your sit bones. Inhale deeply, and with your next exhale, lift just the heels. See if you can connect more to the ground through the back of your body. Is it more broad across the top of the pelvis? We're engaging a deep abdominal layer here, wrapping. You might float the toes from the ground. So now maybe the thighs are vertical. The lower legs might still be dangling. You should feel a real connection to the floor. It doesn't mean you have to pull the navel all the way to the ground, so to speak, but broad across the back body. This is important. This needs to stay consistent. So you could exhale and just do a little toe tap from here. And that might be the best place to work. Or you might lift the lower legs a little farther. But when you do, make sure everything in the back body is steady. And with your next exhale, you might toe tap there. So I'm alternating right and left foot. Someone might mute their audio. Then you'll come back up. Exhale, relax the lower legs if they're not. Bring the toes. bend the heels, and rest. Can you take your arms and reach them up to the sky? Turn the palms to be facing right now towards your feet. And then reach your arms overhead. So now the palms are facing towards the sky. And then let's take the right leg long on the ground and reach all the way out the right side. So the right heel to the right hand. Exhale, bend the right knee. Straighten the left leg. Lengthen through from the left hand, left side ribs, left leg. And then bring the left leg back. So now both feet are on the ground. Inhale again. Exhale, bring both knees up. You can hug the knees to your chest. Inhale, take them an arm's length away. Exhale, hug them in again. So you could be doing both knees at the same time, or you could be alternating the knees just to lengthen the low back. One more, or one more on each side. Then let's roll over to one side and use your arms to push yourself up. And you can, if you were lying on a blanket, you can move that out of the way. And let's take downward facing dog or puppy pose. So if you're taking puppy, from all fours, you're going to walk your hands forward. The hips are up. They're not back at the heels, and you're strongly reaching into the hands. Puppy pose. Or you'll tuck your toes under and take downward facing dog pose. Whichever you've chosen, you're still strongly reaching from the hands, from the shoulder blades. The shoulder blades are moving towards the upper arms and all the way into the hands, the finger pads and the knuckles. Inhale deeply. Exhale, walk your hands to your feet. Hold on one sec. Let me just check. Someone's knocking on the door. Who is this person? Okay. And then we're going to come, you're up and standing now. So you're up and standing. And go ahead and bring your blocks to the top of your mat. And then bring your hands in front of your heart. Inhale, lift both arms. And exhale, forward fold. All the way down to the ground, all the way to Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up. And with your next exhale, step your right foot back. So you're in a low lunge. In your low lunge, come up on the ball of the right foot. So you'll feel the ball of the right foot lifts, and just notice what's happening at the front of the right hip. And then let's inhale, step forward. And exhale, take the other leg back. Come up on the ball of your left foot. So the back heel's vertical. Inhale, step forward. And exhale, bow forward. Inhale, you're going to come all the way up, either with hands on the hips or reaching the arms up. Exhale, hands back in front of your heart. Relax both arms. And do you have, can you pick up your strap, scarf, belt, whatever? And then take one of your hands and go right into the space, so the notch of the throat. I'm gonna go so can you put your fingers, you know, there's the top of your breastbone, and you're gonna go right above, or I mean, there's that little notch at the top of the breastbone, go right onto the bone. And there's about a 3-finger width, the manubrium right there. So I want you just to get an idea, you're touching in on yourself. That place right there, you can even give it a little tap. So right on the top of the breastbone is about 3-finger width. Then take a belt or a strap. And inhale, lift both arms. You can lift them halfway, and then you can go all the way up. And then go a little wider. Bend your elbows. Now bring your attention into that place at the top of the breastbone. And with your felt sense, lift that up. All right, so you lifted up the top of the breastbone. Now take the wrists back. Keep the top of the breastbone lifted. Wrists are going back somewhere. Notice if when you took the hands back, if that collapsed, if the top of the breastbone collapsed, can you lift it back up? Can you stay broad across your collarbones, all the way to the upper arms? One more breath in, noticing the pause. And then with your next inhale, lift the arms back up. Exhale, lower your arms. Bring the strap into one hand and just let both arms dangle. And then let's just sit the strap down. And let's step your feet wide apart. You're gonna step your feet wide apart because we're gonna take side angle pose. So stepping the feet wide, and let's take the left foot, turn it in a little, and the right foot and turn it all the way out. You're gonna have either a block or 2 blocks or a chair. Could be anything that gives you enough height at your front leg, which is, I think, your right foot right now. And then inhale, take the arms out. And as you exhale, you're gonna move the pelvis away from this front thigh. So you start to move the pelvis, you start to bend the front knee, you're lengthening out that inner thigh. The hand might come to a block. The pelvis is pointing towards the back foot. You could have this hand up on a hip. So you're lengthening your right inner thigh towards your right knee. And then you're gonna lengthen your left side body from the top of the pelvis to the outer heel. Really reaching into the left outer heel. See if you feel that through the back of that glute, or maybe you feel it through the back of your left waistline. You can take this arm and bring it overhead. So the front inner thigh gets long, and you lift and lengthen through the side of the body that's up towards the sky. Keep reaching into the left outer heel. And then let's inhale and come up. Exhale, let's step the feet back together. Take your hands and just, can you find the greater trochanter again at the sides of your pelvis? So you notice that bony landmark. And then just above and behind it, like at a 45, you can relax your hands back down. But see if you can notice a difference in how your left side feels and how the right side feels. Maybe you even notice a difference in how your left footprint is connected to the earth compared to the right footprint. There might even be a difference in how you feel the lung on this side moving, the left side. All right, so let's take the second side. So you step the feet wide apart. You're going to take the heel back and turn the toes forward on the other leg. Get your prop at whatever height. You can always change it. You could have the seat of the chair or multiple blocks or whatever you need. Inhale, take the arms out. As you begin to bend the front knee, start to move the pelvis. Because if you do this first, it's going to be harder to get the pelvis to move because you'll already have a lot of weight on that front hip. So you're moving the pelvis to point towards the back leg. Lengthening out the inner thigh. Hand can come to a block or whatever. So on your back leg side, from the top of the pelvis, reach into that back heel. And can you notice if you start to lift this hip bone point, if you start to take it back too much, this is going to feel more jammed back here in that space I was talking about where the SI joint is. So make sure you're keeping spacious. So if you're reaching from the top of the ilia all the way to the outer heel, you might add your arm. And then the manubrium, the top of the breastbone, can you turn it towards the sky? Keep reaching. And then inhale, come up. Exhale, make the feet parallel. Let's step the feet back together. Mountain pose, Tadasana, simply noticing. All right, great. Now, some of you might need your strap. We're going to take Supta Padangusthasana. So the feet are hip distance wide, And you're gonna bow forward towards your legs. So some of you might need the strap to go around the big toes because you can't keep your legs straight and touch the big toes. So if that's the case, you would take the strap around the big toes, straighten both legs, hold on to the strap, or if you've got the hands around the big toes, great, and then lift the manubrium. Lift the front of the chest, lift the top of the breastbone. Deep breathing for this. And then exhale, release that. Release the back of the head. Release the top of the breastbone to turn down towards the belly button. Shift your hands onto your hips. And inhale, come back up. Exhale, hands back in front of your heart. Okay, can we take tree pose? So sometimes I really like to use a wall for my knee in tree pose. If that were the case, and I were close to a wall, or I can pretend this is a wall. Maybe I can pretend it's a wall. Maybe I can't. If this was a wall, this would be the left side of my body close to the wall, so that when I shift over into my right foot, I would have this left knee at a wall. Now, one of the things about tree pose is that sometimes, because again, we have the SI joint back here, sometimes when we shift over into the standing leg, we pull the knee way out. We all have a different shape here. I don't want to compress this when I'm doing tree pose. So pay attention to where the knee goes, the foot goes, and the knee. So this is broad right here. From across the top of the iliac and all the way out the left knee. All right, so you can find a spot. You're going to stand on your right foot. Your arms can either go wide or up by the ears. Lengthen out the left knee. Lengthen through the sides. Relax your arms. And step back down. If you have a question, you can ask me a question. Any questions about that? So we take the second side. So either standing in the middle of your mat or taking the right side of your body close to a wall. You're going to shift the weight into your left leg and bring the right foot up. So you might be bringing the right foot just to the calf. You might be bridging your knee, or you might be bringing it all the way to the upper inner thigh. Can you make space at the back of the pelvis? Arms can either be wide or lifted up alongside the ears. They won't be wide if you're at the wall, obviously. They might be in front of the heart or alongside the ears. Lengthen. Then you'll release the arms and step back down to center. Take mountain pose. Great. All right. And then let's take, I'm going to move my strap out of the way. And let's bring your blocks back to the top of your mat. And let's take a sun salutation. So you could all go sideways, but you're welcome to just have the blocks toward the top of your mat so you've got them if you need them. Bring the hands back in front of the heart. Inhale, lift both arms. And exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale halfway. And exhale, step your right foot back. On the back foot, lift the back heel up. So you've got almost like a really tall high heel on the back foot. And you might go ahead, transition upright lunge, or keep the hands down on your props. Can you bring the arms up alongside the ears, lengthen through the sides? Inhale the arms back. Exhale to plank pose. Inhale in your plank pose. Exhale, lightly touch your knees to the ground. And exhale, bring the chest all the way down. Inhale, lift the top of the breastbone. Cross both collarbones. Cobra. Exhale, lower. Inhale, all fours. And exhale, puppy or downward facing dog. Whether you're in puppy or downward facing dog, please reach from the shoulder blades all the way to your finger pads and knuckles. So remember that strong reach. And then inhale, lift your left leg up. Exhale, left foot forward. Oh. This is maybe you did this side already. If you did, then you switch. Come up on the ball of the back foot. So the back heel is lifted. And inhale, either rising all the way up or staying in the low lunge. Lift the top of the breastbone. Inhale the arms out. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, step forward. And exhale, bow. Inhale halfway. And exhale, fold. Once again, inhale halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Lift at the top of the breastbone. And exhale, fold forward. So now everything is turning in again. Inhale, come all the way up. Arms overhead. Exhale, hands back in front of your heart. relax both arms. Okay. So now let's set up for triangle pose. So in your triangle pose, you're taking another wide stance. It's probably not quite as wide as you had for the Supta Padangusthasana. You'll need 1 or 2 blocks or the seat of a chair. You're going to turn the back foot in slightly and the front foot all the way out. And then set up however many blocks or a seat of a chair at the outer shin. So again, here, that space, so this will be the right side of your pelvis. You're going to want to make space between, so that the SI joint isn't going to be compressed when you go into triangle. So you're going to make this spacious. This is wrapping. So you've got that left foot turn or right foot turned down and the back foot turned in slightly. You might take the arms out. And then let's bring the back hand on the hip as you take your pelvis and begin to point it towards the back foot. Your right hand will come down. It'll come down as long as you can keep your spine long. So notice if you start curving yourself, let's keep the spine long. So give yourself as much height as you need to have a long spine and both legs straight. Lengthening out the inner thigh of the forward leg towards the knee. This back on your left side, that ilia is coming forward. And then take the manubrium, the top of the breastbone, and turn it towards the sky. Keep reaching out the inner thigh. Reach all the way through, balance the weight in the front foot. Manubrium turns. The gaze is either towards the foot, straight ahead, or up towards the sky. And you might reach the other arm up. And then let's inhale, come up. Exhale, release. And take the second side. If you have a question, you're welcome to hit your space bar, ask me a question. I line up usually heel to heel in this stance. That's usually pretty good for keeping space at the back of that SI joint. So your left foot's pointing straight ahead. On the back foot, the heel is slightly farther away. Inhale, take the arms out. And exhale, you might bring the hand on the hip, point the pelvis towards the back leg, lengthen this inner knee, inner thigh. Spine long. Can you balance the weight in your front foot? And what happens in the pelvis and hips when you do that? So that the weight isn't all at the outer right heel. Do you feel the greater trochanter on the right pull into midline? Can you turn the breastbone, the top? And take the head in a comfortable position. Do you feel how the pelvis moves away from the inner thigh? And you might add the arm. And then inhale, come up. Exhale, release both arms. Make the feet parallel. Step or hop them back to center. Inhale, lift both arms. And exhale, forward fold. So the hands could come to a chair, to blocks, to the ground. I'm not trying to do my deepest Uttanasana, my deepest forward fold, but more just coming into a place of symmetry. Relaxing the head and neck. And broad across the back of the pelvis. And then you can walk the hands forward or come down onto your knees and shins. And if it's comfortable for you to sit in Virasana, you might need a block between the heels. Knees are together, or maybe 2 blocks, or you could have some blankets or some pillows or something along those lines to sit in Virasana, hero's pose. So the heels are wide apart, knees are together. If you have something off to the right, that might be helpful. We're going to take a twist here. If this is uncomfortable for you, this particular position, then you could sit in a chair, or you might just sit cross-legged on the ground with something under the pelvis. So take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, from right above the navel, start to turn towards your right. So the right hand's going to come behind you on a block or something. And the left hand might be at the outer right thigh. So you might notice when you take this twist, you're still keeping the knees even. So the pelvis is staying stable. The manubrium is turning, the top of the breastbone turning towards your right. And then we'll come back to center. Let's go to the other side. So this twist is starting at the belly button and up. So that's about the L2 and up. All right. So inhale deeply. And then as you exhale, you're starting to turn towards your left. So the left hand is behind you. Right hand across. We're keeping the knees even, the pelvis stable. And then we'll exhale and come back to center. All right. So let's go ahead and come off of the blocks. If you're on blocks or off your blankets, we're going to come down to the ground for a moment to dead bug pose or happy baby pose. So you'll lie down on the ground. Grab the backs of the thighs, bring the knees toward the chest. Or maybe you have the hands on the shins. Or maybe you have the hands at the little toe side of your feet. Notice the back of the sacrum, low back. If the knees are really wide, what is that space like? At the low back sacrum. If you bring your knees slightly closer, how does that space change? Then, knees to the chest. Bring both feet to the ground. Take your arms out wide and shift both hips toward your left. Just a little, like just a couple inches. Straighten your right leg and bring your left foot to the inside of the right knee and twist towards the right. So lower body's going towards the right. The left arm is back. There's an opening from the manubrium all the way across the top of the collarbone on the left. Even as the lower body is going towards the right. The breathing is important here. Notice on the exhale, what does that give you when you're really working with your exhale in this particular twist? How does that connect you into your body? Come back to center. So now both feet are on the ground again. Now you're back in midline and you're gonna shift the hips a tad to the right. Straighten your left leg, take the arms out wide, put the foot at the inner left knee and take the lower body towards the left. The gaze can either be up at the ceiling or maybe towards the right. Sometimes it's nice to take the left hand to the outer thigh, not because you're pressing, but just resting it there. Can you feel that space between on the right sacrum, ilia, that area? Can you lengthen that? Not because you're pressing, but because you're letting go. And then let's come back to center. We'll come back to center. We'll bring the hips back into center and bring the knees up to the chest again. Inhale, take them an arm's length away. And exhale, hug them in. 2 more. The inhale, you're just making a little more space. The exhale, you're hugging the knees into the chest, lengthening the sit bones away. Then we're going to roll over to one side and use your arms to press yourself up. If you have a blanket, can you take your blanket and fold it into kind of a rectangular shape? And then fold it again into a narrower rectangle, for example. We're going to take Supta reclined, Baddha Konasana. So you might want to have a couple blocks if you've got them. If you don't have blocks, maybe you have another blanket. If you have, if you're going to use a second blanket, you're going to open it all the way up like that and make a tight roll out of that blanket. You'll roll it up so it's in a really long cinnamon roll. So you're going to use either that or your blocks. So sitting on the ground in front of this blanket, not on this blanket. Bring the soles of the feet toward each other and either taking this blanket tightly underneath your ankles, like that, or taking the blocks underneath the outer knees. You'll lie back. So the low back is on the blanket, the pelvis is on the ground. Make a little inchworm to go under your head. And we're going to rest here for a few minutes. I'm going to give you a little focus for that resting, just a couple minutes. So once you're in that comfortable position and you deepen your inhale, I'd like you to notice when you deepen your inhale, the space where the inhale is growing. And when you exhale, can you still notice that space that was opening on the inhale? So on your inhale, you feel that space expanding. And on your exhale, you still keep your attention in that space, in that same space. What is it doing? What's happening there? Just noticing. And then on your next exhale, you'll let go of any control on the breath. Simply resting down into the support beneath you. Relaxing the jaw, the tongue, the skin between the eyebrows, and all the way out to the temples, softening that. And Wendell says, I go among trees and sit still. All my stirring becomes quiet around me like circles on water. My tasks lie in their places where I left them, asleep like cattle. Then what is afraid of me comes and lives a while in my sight. What it fears in me leaves me, and the fear of me leaves it. It sings and I hear its song. And then what I am afraid of comes. I live for a while in its sight. What I fear in it leaves it, and the fear of it leaves me. It sings and I hear its song. After days of labor, mute in my consternations, I hear my song at last. I sing it. As we sing, the day turns and the trees move. With the sound of the bell, allow your breath to deepen and taking a moment of gratitude for the millions of things that come together, mesh together, breathe together. And gently awaken your body to movement. And making a mindful transition over to one side. Using the support of your arms as you come back up to sitting. Bringing your hands together in front of your heart. And may we remember the real blessings that we experience each day. So we can carry those with us when we go back to life, when we're allowed to practice together in the same space. Or maybe some of us will stay practicing this way. But let's remember all the good things we're learning right now. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's great to see you. You're welcome to ask a question if you like, or make a comment to anybody you want to. If you see someone here you want to say hi to, feel free to do that.
Thank you, Lynn, for coming every day and being by yourself. Appreciate you.
Thank you for showing up. It makes a difference.
Lynn,
Yes.
thank you for the Wendell Berry reading.
Mm.
We're such a fan of him and have been reading him for a long time.
It's so nice to be reminded.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
How are you doing, Lynn?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm doing good. Let's see what's going on. Just, you know, I'm enjoying teaching, and it's weird to teach over Zoom. It's kind of, it can be,